Leader as Healer by Nicholas Yanni. He explores leadership through a remarkably new lens, one which promotes concepts of connection to both others and the self as a key component for the leader as healer. This book is about expanding our bandwidth by confronting blocked emotional energies, ultimately creating pathways for new ideas, creative solutions, and more meaningful relationships. Opposed to what Yanni refers to as the executor way of thinking, which generally translates to taking on the business world with a primarily rational and strategic mind, couples with disconnection from the emotional self, Leader as Healer can, as Yanni describes, connect with themselves and others, to integrate being and doing, proactively and receptively, rationality and intuition. A common theme emerges overall throughout the course of the book. I'm here and I'm available. Yanni breaks his book into chapters which address foundational ideas behind transitioning to Leader as Healer. In each chapter, he describes the principle of the idea and ends with what the practice looks like successfully. He refers to his direct work with clients to better demonstrate the transformational work they experienced. Perhaps to show us, the reader, these practices are not just fluff, they are real ways to create change. As I provide an overview of these concepts, I will stop periodically on the points I found valuable in my leadership journey. Although transitioning to any new process of thought can be challenging overall, these light bulb moments have been impactful for me almost immediately, or have reinforced my own current abilities in relation to being an effective healer. Yanni explains we vastly prioritize doing over being. Our world is built around the idea of success through problem solving, so we're just go, checking off things on the to-do list. Yanni is not saying doing should come off the table. Rather, there needs to be better balance with being to adequately address being an effective leader. Yanni explains being provides the balanced foundation from which we may respond rather than react. It is really looking at the right brain versus the left brain. The left brain is the doing side. It is rational, proactive, analytical. The right side, in comparison, is the being side. This half is receptive and reflective, intuitive and empathetic. By bringing mind, body, and heart into all we do, we access far more advanced responses to problems, challenges, and opportunities. Leader as Healer brings balance to the left and the right, between the doing and being, very much like yin and yang. Yanni describes the practice in its simplest form, paying attention. Learning to use our attention consciously and deliberately is the gateway through which we can relocate ourselves in being. He suggests integrating mindfulness practices which have been shown scientifically to help us reconnect with ourselves. Although I appreciate the concept of self-care, I have been more outspoken about being sick of the notion a spa day will solve all my problems. Especially in education, administrators and trainers alike focus on self-care as an end-all to negativity. Perhaps this not-so-new idea is misleading, and what we should really be focusing on is the practice and acceptance of making meaningful connections in the workplace, both within ourselves and each other. Over the years, I have found myself spending lots of time building those relationships. Colleagues seem to find peace venting in what I fondly refer to as my safe space. I have built trust through these connections, which I have found to be an invaluable tool. However, connecting with myself, especially in the workplace, has seemed out of reach. Yanni suggested a 5-minute mindfulness session before a meeting and taking a deep breath before answering a phone call. These are practical suggestions to address barriers in my own much-needed safe space. I pour from an empty bucket far too often. I know I need to work on activating that right side more often for my own good. Yanni states, emotions are the gateway to our deeper humanity. Over time, our society has pushed emotions out of the way. We are numb to what's going on around us. Perhaps it's because of the desire to complete the checklist. We must grit and bear it. We have collectively swallowed our feelings, even from many moons before leadership crossed our paths. People need to feel safe to feel emotions, and if they don't, they get packed away. Yanni talks about how the emotional baggage we carry doesn't go away. It gets heavier if left unaddressed. I think of times where my anxiety about a subject overwhelms me. It could be exciting, but it's usually fear. Eventually, it all comes to a head and gets addressed. It feels good to unload, and the real work can begin. Well, but part of that foundational work to be done as a leader, as healer, involves addressing those suppressed emotions. This will relieve the tension, expand our bandwidth, and pave the way for new ideas and insights. Another layer of emotions is our knee-jerk reaction to fix them. Yanni says we need to stop trying to fix emotions. It is the equivalent of swallowing them. We need to feel them, understand what they are, and where they come from. Disconnecting from feelings was the old way of getting things done. It didn't work. It will never work. It simply makes the metaphorical pile harder to get through. As a leader, showing vulnerability can transform the landscape. In an article in Forbes, Carly Symes says, vulnerable leaders are ideally motivated to use and share their vulnerability to develop and grow into better leaders. To model the power of vulnerability, encourage and create an environment where the workforce is able to do the same. Yanni says if the leader as healer can acknowledge feelings, it allows others to acknowledge their own similar feelings and gives them permission to feel similar. That acknowledgement disperses that heavy energy, leading to better insights and innovations. Yanni explains that when we disassociate from our physical self, it shuts down a primary channel of the nervous system, leaving us access to only a limited part of who we are. The result is that we cannot be fully present and available. The same can be felt in others. We don't feel safe around those who are disassociating. This concept aligns with repressing feelings, and there are physical consequences to it. The leader as healer prioritizes reunification with the body. I have always struggled with my emotions, so it comes as no surprise I have struggled to grasp the power of embodiment. Just as a client of Yanni explained, I have spent most of my adult life putting the puzzles of life together from the neck up and have not taken the time to listen and feel to what the rest of my body has to say. In practice, Yanni suggests bringing exercise into your life regularly. I have neglected my body for a long time and have recently rejoined a weight loss program. While I have put the effort into this, I notice my body feels better. I have less headaches. I feel less fatigued. The funny thing is, I don't think I necessarily recognized how badly I felt until I didn't feel badly anymore. Perhaps this moment of recognition can be my pathway to recognizing how my body feels in the present. Instead of reacting to my body, I can be better at responding. Purpose is essential, Yanni explains. It is what drives us to do the things we do. Without purpose, what is the whole point? Although individually this is a very personal question, leader as healer can reflect on the work. What is the work? What is being asked of me? If those two things don't connect, perhaps it's time to take a closer look. Especially after the pandemic, it's become clear money isn't going to make us happier. Our purpose isn't to make money, it's the meaning of the work we want to do. Yanni used an example of our lower-level executive who was pushing for the top. After a session on exploring purpose, it turns out the only reason they were interested in the upper position was prestige, and not so much what the work was. I can relate to my current position. I have strived to educate myself in the field, but when presented with the opportunity at a higher-level position, I realized it was too far from my purpose, which aligned more with the direct care of children than administration. My success isn't measured by power, it's measured by how well I navigate my current role. There are problems which can be fixed. There are challenges to be met. If there is anything I feel like I'm doing right as leader, as healer, it's connected with my purpose. However, part of that is helping others see their own. Yanni says I can benefit my team by asking them, what aspects of our work are you proud of? What is meaningful to you in the work we are doing together? What would you want to tell your grandchildren about our work? This is a great opportunity to bond with those around me, Perhaps part of my work is allowing others to explore their purpose, or lack thereof, without judgment. I think asking these questions is a great place to start, especially in my quest to connect strongly with others. Yanni says meditation and mindfulness are two of the most important and powerful resources of the leader as healer. There are many benefits: stress reduction, improved well-being and resilience, better quality of relationships, heightened capacity to focus, improved decision-making, and increased skill for collaboration. Yanni refers to how our attention is so transfixed on perceived reality, we often forget about the other stuff. He refers to this as the black letters on the white page. Meditation and mindfulness practices allow us to not be overly focused on the black letters, but recognize the white page. Leader as healer is able to connect with both, leading to more intimate relationships. The very basis for mindfulness is to intentionally and unconditionally pay attention to whatever is arising. A great start is paying attention to your breathing, followed by the grounding of your feet and working your way up your body. How do you feel? It takes a lot of practice, but it doesn't need to take a long time either. Meditation is a bit more planned. It means setting aside time and space. Like mindfulness, it's about grounding yourself. When thoughts come up, it's not about pushing them out of the way. You acknowledge them and move forward. The goal of meditation, according to Yanni, is to locate ourselves in the inner space beyond our thinking without too much effort or fixation. The leadership we need now does not try to escape the complexity of the world, but rather develops a capacity for effectiveness that acknowledges the fundamental reality as one of inherent unity. Yanni concludes his book by illustrating where the world is currently. Past leaders work towards profit maximization. Today's leaders must balance concepts of logic and reason with empathy and intuitiveness. He explains the leader as healer surrenders themselves to new ideas and higher insights. Essentially, leaders must embrace feelings and volatility to move forward in transformation. When I chose this book, I expected to hear a lot about how to connect with those around me, but was intrigued by how much focus was towards connecting with myself. Throughout my younger years in school, and then in the workplace, the measure of success was grounded in doing. Even in health and physical education, there was no focus on being. Post-pandemic working in education, there seems to have been a shift towards concepts of social and emotional learning. We are focused on helping students recognize their emotions rather than simply fixing negative feelings. However, are we, the educators, as well trained to identify those emotions in ourselves? How are we expected to teach such central and critical concepts when we are, quite frankly, awful at it? Just like we practice trying our shoes and cooking a birthday cake, mindfulness and meditation are things to be practiced to be done effectively. I think it's time to trade in some ineffective habits for improved ways of thinking. We can do better.